Hi, I'm James Dyson. I'm 76, and 45 years ago, I created the first Dyson. It goes back to my childhood when I was made to vacuum the house. And I remember pushing around this machine and this terrible smell of stale dog and stale dust, it not picking things up. And then fast forward to, as you say, 1979, I'm now a father and I have my own house. And I have the most powerful vacuum cleaner in the world. And I get the same sensation, the same terrible smell of dog hairs and stale dog and stale dust.
Keep the life in your carpet. Clean out hidden grit with a new Big Value Hoover Junior.
And I'm finding it not picking things up. So I looked to see what the problem was. And the problem was all down to the bag. And the bag is essentially a filter. So it's supposed to catch the dirt and let the air through. And the suction is a function of how much air it lets through. So if the air is going very fast, then you get a good suction. But if it's impeded by the dust and filth that's collected in the bag, you lose the suction. And this is what I realized. I was actually annoyed. I spent a lot of money on this very powerful vacuum cleaner and it wasn't producing any suction because the bag was clogged. The bag was blocked by a very small amount of dust, actually. So I looked around for a technology which didn't have this characteristic. And I saw these big cyclones on sawmills and industrial factories. And they were collecting dust by centrifugal force. And I happened to build one in a factory that I had that was making wheelbarrows to collect powder. We spun it out by centrifugal force. And I actually built a cyclone. It's 10 meters tall. It was huge. And I connected this with a vacuum cleaner and wondered if this would work in miniature in a vacuum cleaner. So I rushed home. I was quite excited because I had a solution to my vacuum cleaner problem. I thought, maybe. So I built a very crude model out of cardboard and gaffer tape and attached it to my vacuum cleaner. And it appeared to catch the dust. I didn't know then its efficacy, how good it was, but I was so excited that I started to develop cyclones for vacuum cleaners at home in my little workshop that I had. Well, I had two big problems. One was that I wasn't collecting the very fine dust, and a huge amount of household dust is the size of cigarette smoke, and cyclones were only good down to 20 microns. The second problem was that I found that human hair and carpet fluff and dog hairs weren't collected by the cyclone. They escaped with the exit air. That's why I had to build 5,127 prototypes before I got it working properly. And the most important thing I was doing was changing one thing at a time, one dimension at a time. I would go back in for lunch and at the end of the day covered in dust, having done 2 or 3 prototypes. So you don't have a sort of brainwave and know immediately the whole problem, how to solve the whole problem. But it took, 4 or 5 years. Yes, I was borrowing money because I didn't have any money. I was borrowing money from the bank on the security of the house, the mortgage of the house.
You didn't know you wanted to make your own brand?
No, I didn't want to. I thought I was an engineer, an inventor, and I wanted to license my technology. But none of the existing, most of them had a look at it, but didn't want to do it. So I thought, well, if they don't want to do it, I'm going to do it. So I decided to manufacture it myself. The first model we introduced was an upright vacuum cleaner of the type that is used in England and the United States. And it was the easiest to put my cyclonic device on rather than what you call a traîneur, a cylinder cleaner. It was £200, about 250 euros. It was about 3 times the price of other vacuum cleaners, but it had real technology in it rather than this awful bag. The retailers, when we tried to sell it, thought that customers would be put off and disgusted by the dust. But nevertheless, we sold it with the see-through container, and it turns out that the public really liked seeing the dust. We were always using a state-of-the-art vacuum cleaner motor, which looks a bit like this. This is what everybody was using, and it's an old style of motor. It's very heavy, it's very big, so I wanted to develop a much higher speed motor, because the faster the motor, the smaller it is and the more electrically efficient it is. But no one had ever developed high-speed motors. So I set about in developing this, and this is the first one we produced. So I've got this instead of this. So you can see it's much lighter.
When you released the DC-16?
Yes, so we had the idea, because this is so light, of holding it in your hand with a battery and then just having a pipe and the cleaner head. And then it's very easy to clean up there and to carry it around. And it's very slim and it can be stored against the wall. It was a game changer because you didn't have to plug it in. Yes, the lithium battery enabled us to do that. And now we're developing in new battery technology ourselves and about to manufacture it. Well, the interesting thing about developing a new piece of technology like a motor, which absolutely transforms motors, electric motors. Lots of other products use electric motors, such as hand dryers, such as hair dryers. And you suddenly realize that you can completely change the format of that product and make it much better performing, higher performing, and also reduce the energy consumption. So it's the important thing is to develop the technology, because then that opens up product opportunities for new game-changing products.
I personally vacuum cleaning.
Oh, I love it.
Really?
I love vacuum cleaning.
How many minutes a week do you vacuum?
Well, not very many, but because I'm doing lots of other things. But when I get the chance, I go back to doing a bit of vacuuming. Very good.
Konbini! Konbini!